Hello YouTube, how are you guys doing? It's Evil Knievel here, bringing you a gameplay from the, not going to say brand new, but almost new Star Wars Battlefront. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with this game, Star Wars Battlefront is basically the new version of Battlefield. That's the easiest way you've got to think of it, except with Star Wars characters. A few of the game modes are a little bit different, but if you essentially think of it like that, then you'll pretty much get to grips with this sort of gameplay very, very quickly, along with this game. Now, this game is quite fun to play. I'm a big Star Wars fan myself, bit of a geek, and as such, it just heightens the fun for me, playing it in a Star Wars based type game, as well as the Battlefield. Now, traditionally, I'm more of a COD player, if I'm 100% honest with you guys. I feel that Battlefield is generally a game that, if you want to play it, you want to play it properly, which means you've probably got to do it in a full squad. You probably want to be on the headsets with each other. The bigger maps, they take longer, so it's not something you can just pick up and play. Whereas Call of Duty, traditionally, it's more of a pick up and play, put it down as and when you want, as and when you need to. Now, what I'm playing at the minute is Droid. Essentially, if you guys are familiar with Domination, that sort of game modes, that's all it is, except for you have these, well, I'm not going to call them droids, I'm going to call them walking trash cans, because to me, that's what they are. But hey, if you want to call them droids, then feel free to call them droids. Now, a few sort of differences to the Battlefield type games. Grenades are going to be a huge point of this game. Obviously, if you know where the particular droid is, or dustbins, you are going to know roughly where the enemy is in locations of that. This little mini-map bottom left here as well also tells you roughly where the enemy is. It doesn't give you an exact pinpoint location like it does in the mini-map in Call of Duty, but it gives you a proximity of. And really that's quite handy. So if you throw your grenade in the general direction of, unlike Call of Duty and Battlefield where the grenades, once you've thrown it, that's it, it's done. This particular game, you have, I think when you begin, it's a 15-second sort of replenishment time. So once you've thrown it, it takes 15 seconds to then be ready again. So, yep, you've got that. 15 seconds and you've got another grenade, just like now. I now have my second grenade ready. And you didn't even have to do anything for it. So grenades are going to be quite an important perk to be able to succeed at this. Because for the simple fact that they, like I say, they replenish over time. So it's so much better to use it. Now, what other things do I recommend equipping with this? Well, as and when you've got the jetpack, I highly recommend using that. The jetpack is something that I absolutely love from the beta. It enables you to get into those and out of those certain gunfight situations and can sometimes save your life. Especially like now, if I was able to like get out of there a bit quicker, I wouldn't have even lost as much life as I did. For those of you that are wondering what the jetpack's like, if you play the heroes versus villains or whatever it happens to be called, 3v3 game mode, and you end up playing the dark side and a bomber threat, you'll understand how good the jetpack is. Now, as for guns and various other bits, I'm not a big fan of the gun that you start with. Now, obviously it's the gun that you start with, so I wasn't expecting it to be brilliant. But me, I am more of a objective-based player. Now, an objective-based player, as such, I enjoy running towards the objectives, the close gunfights, and traditionally I've been more of an SMG-type player, especially in the Call of Duty-type franchises. That's my kind of go-to roles and guns. MSMC from the Black Ops 2, that kind of guns like that, those are the ones that I always seem to pick up. The ASM-1, they're my go-tos. Why is that? Now, essentially, if you miss your first shot with an AR, because it's a little bit slower, you tend to die, especially being so close to the objective. Now, if you have a sub that fires a little bit quicker, you miss that first shot. It doesn't really matter, you still get enough bullets into him as it's quicker fire. So, not knowing where the enemy is going to be, knowing that they're going to be challenging you at this objective, it's sometimes easier to have a gun that's a little bit quicker to maneuver and a little bit quicker firing. It means that you can generally challenge 2, maybe 3 gunfights very quickly in succession. Whereas if you're firing with an AR, you tend to find that you can maybe do 1 to 2. Okay, it gives you that longer distance, but in a map like this, as you can see, with all the trees to use as cover, it doesn't really particularly matter all that much that you've not got the range there, because if you find it yourself, like here, that's a fairly long gunfight for an SMG. Now, should I wanted to disengage from that, I've got 1,000 trees around here to disappear behind and engage from a different location. So I can always make the gun battle that much shorter to give myself the advantage. As you can see, I'm using the cover here. I'm working myself in and around these trees to give myself the best possible kind of strategic positioning to stop myself getting fired at, but not only stop myself getting fired at, but being able to fire and see the other people. You see here, I'm not likely to get rushed from behind here. There's not many pathways behind me, and you wouldn't be able to see me from the trees were behind me. And as such, I managed to see my other teammate was firing at him, and fire back at him and get that kill. Now, it's stuff like this that you kind of have to think about when playing these game modes, especially when you're playing the objectives in them. Now, I appreciate that some of you players out there may not be an objective-based player, and as such, if that's the way that you play it, then that's the way you play it. You can be very influential in Call of Duty modes by not being an objective-based player, but managing to obtain your team the spawns. Now, the spawns in this, because it's a much bigger map, can't be influenced the same ways in which they are in Call of Duty. So if you're not playing the objective, you need to generally be either in the middle ground where you're going to pick up some of the kills running from one objective to the other, or maybe looking at a distance towards the objective itself. Now, the only disadvantage in this game mode, being a droid run, is obviously the objectives move, as I was discussing earlier. So those lines of sights that you was on originally, as the droid moves, obviously them lines of sights are going to change, and it's going to either put you at a disadvantage or an advantage, depending on how you think about your movements and stuff like that. Now, this is the first time I'd ever managed to get onto this map. I think this is only the second or third sort of game of this game mode, and probably the third or fourth game ever for me in this Star Wars Battlefront. Now, a hell of a lot of fun in my opinion. I'm pleased I picked up a submachine gun type gun rather than the AR, as I was discussing earlier. I think it suits my playstyle, and I'm certainly doing a lot better with it in this game. Now, I haven't really had the chance to sort of try it in many game modes and see whether it's worth having the SMG full time over the AR. I know in the new Call of Duty, most of the time when I began it, I started with the ARs because I thought the line of sights was that little bit further away. But now I've got used to more of the game in Call of Duty 3, I tend to find myself going back towards the SMGs. Now I know where I can engage and avoid certain situations in it. It does take a little bit more time to get used to an SMG and knowing what you can and can't challenge. Like here, probably should back away from this one. I hope that my grenade was going to get him. Fortunately, it wasn't the case. I probably should have backed away there. Challenging over that distance is a little bit further than what SMG really should be doing. Now, I know I sort of say these are SMGs, but they're not called that, and yes, I know I probably should be calling them by their proper names, but you know what it's like. If I talk in a language that is familiar to you guys, then you're going to be able to pick up this game and understand what I'm on about. Hopefully, it's going to help you guys when you're playing. To be honest with you guys, no matter what sort of game modes you play on this, you want to be running similar sort of gun setups so that you get used to a style of play. Now, a style of play will work brilliantly in some game modes, but obviously some styles of play won't work so well in other game modes. So you do want to adjust it slightly and maybe think about, on like the Walker Assault ones, you won't want the SMGs, you will want to be thinking about the ARs. It's a much bigger open maps, and as such you need that longer range. Or if you do choose to have an SMG, as one of your little perk cards, calling cards, whatever they like to call it, you want to be considering getting yourself something like a sniper rifle. I saw one in the beta, not as effective as what I like it to be, but it still was quite good. And if you're challenging at the distance that it can challenge at, then you know, it's going to work out just fine for you guys. Now, hopefully you've enjoyed this gameplay, and I'm really hoping I can bring you guys stuff a little bit more consistently, especially now I've got this Elgato. I'm finding it a lot easier to record and to get stuff. Now, these droids, unlike the other sort of flags and stuff, you have to walk up to it and press X here, or square if you're working on the PlayStation platform. That is one of the big differences in between this game, and it's something you kind of got to remember to do. Now, me playing this for only the second time, it took a little while for me to realise in the first game what the hell I had to do, and then it wasn't until I saw other players doing it that it sort of like went, ah, that's what you're meant to be doing. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this gameplay. If you did, click the thumbs up. As you can see, I didn't do too bad here, going more than a double positive in my third game. I'll take that as a win personally. Hopefully guys, I'll catch you in the next one.